It's not every day you turn 91. Well, South African business legend and tycoon Solly Krok is, and he wants to make or wants to have made his birthday extra special by giving back. He plans to raise 108 million rand to assist vulnerable people in the country by walking 91 kilometres. Krok is partnering with Africa Tycoon and Siakana for his campaign called Keep the Wolf from the Door. Well, the Nonagenarian joins me now via Skype. Mr. Krok, thank you so much for joining us. And first of all, happy birthday. You turned 91 this past Thursday. We share a birthday, but I've got a little bit of way to go to reach you. Why have you decided to mark your birthday by walking 91 kilometres for such an important cause?
Well, I wanted to make an impression, so I wanted to walk for 1 kilometre. I wanted to walk 1 kilometre for my age, so that would be 91 kilometres. Actually, I had an earlier. Adrian Gore gave me an easier challenge. He said 91 times 400. It would have been 36 kilometres. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm going to do about another 23, I think, by Tuesday.
Now,
by Thursday.
Now, a little birdie has told me that you have never exercised a day in your life. What inspired you to want to take this challenge on to gain attention for your cause?
Well, I think I like that word, inspired me. Obviously, Captain Tom inspired me, but I must just want to make one major point that people don't realize. To be inspired is one thing, but you've got to execute. There are millions of patents in the trademark offices of the world that are inspirations come from inventors, but they never execute it. So in life, you have to do three things if you have an endeavor: execute, execute, execute.
Now, your cause is very important, especially during the lockdown pandemic that's had such a huge effect on so many people's livelihoods. But it's a problem that's been with us for some time, even before coronavirus arrived. People have been going to bed hungry. Now, you don't want to just deliver food parcels. You want to make a sustainable change in many people's lives. Tell us about what you have in mind.
Well, what I have in mind is basically that the famous rabbi lived 900 years ago, Maimonides. He was famous for the quote he made: "Give a man a fish, you fish him for a day. Teach him how to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime." I believe we have to have factories and industrial operations near the townships where people live. Why should they have to schlep with taxis and buses to get to a place of work when they should? Where the industry should be near their homelands. But the home industry, I don't think has been properly organised in South Africa. There has to be today with the digital world and the way people have to be trained to work from home. I mean, there are industries that you can work from home. You can sewing machines. Obviously, there has to be electricity geared up for the production of a unit. You can do wire baskets, you can do bee hunting. There's dozens of other occupations that can be created at home, provided we have a marketing source to pick up the merchandise and ship it, export it, or ship it into the marketplace. And that's the only solution you will have if we don't get people to work at home. Obviously, we need training programs. There are quite a number of initiatives, particularly teaching people how to farm, create fruit and vegetables for themselves. But that is like in closed townships like Alexander Township, I don't think there's enough ground between the homes. The shacks probably house 5, 6, 7 people. So we need a program where we actually teach people to have create a product at home. For example, just look at these street vendors. Most of them come from Zimbabwe and Zambia. They do these wire baskets, for example. That's a big market in the world if it's properly organized. We should train a lot of people. A lot of South Africans should be taught that. And is a fact also, if you're taking the townships, most of the township stores are operated by non-South Africans. Somehow the South Africans don't seem to be entrepreneurial to create their own little stores, so they need to be trained and encouraged. And obviously for that we need a total structure of teachers, trainers, how to train people what to do. And today also I'm sure that there can be a lot of them skilled training in the digital world today. I mean, the digital world's going to change dramatically now. Big office blocks are going to be cut in half, and a lot of people will be working from home. There's even, I've been speaking to a lot of young gentlemen, executive officers. It's amazing with Zoom. This one group, every second day, nine executives get together, and they talk on Zoom. The same as with the manufacturing process. It could be organized. Teamwork could be trained. Operators could be training them from home on Zooming. For example, you could take certain townships, certain streets could just be all manufacturing clothing, others doing other products, or they can even do farming. They can do even beehives. I believe you can do.
Now, Solly, if I could just interrupt you there very quickly. On the 4th of June, you're going to be sharing some of these learnings and some of this advice that you obviously have worked up over many, many years in the various businesses that you've built. 4th of June is the date that you've set aside for by when you want to have walked that 91 kilometres in this campaign of yours, this symbolic walk to raise over 100 million rand from the international and local communities. How positive are you of making that 91 kilometres and raising all of this money that you believe will be able to help so many South Africans during this difficult time?
Well, I think I'm positive that I'll complete my 91 kilometres. I have to do an average. Yesterday I did 5 kilometres. I've got 6 days left, so I'll have to do about an average of 5 or 6 days, a few days. But I think I'll make it. And if I can't, sometimes if I get tired, I'll do some in the morning, I'll do some in the afternoon. But up to now, like on Friday I did 6 kilometres. I did 4 in the morning and I did 2 in the late afternoon. It is quite tough with me, but you know what, if you think positively, you have, let me tell you a lesson I've learned, and it's a lesson for business and academic and everybody who do. You have to do everything in steps. Fortunately, the enclosure where I live in, between the 2 gates to one street and the opening of the other gate, is 170 meters each gate. So I have to do 6 times 170 meters to get to a kilometer. And at the first day I did the practice run, I was exhausted, and I got halfway and I said, oh, the objective is only near there. and it motivated my mind, said, oh, I can get there. So and then as I return, it'll give me 2, and I did 3 times 2 or 3 round trips to get 6. So you've got to mindset yourself. You've got to have a positive approach and mind. But like life, you must take baby steps. A pregnancy doesn't happen overnight. It's 9 months. Businesses also take more than pregnancies. So you have to take small steps, and you must bite only much how much you can chew. And it's an amazing thing. Had this enclosure been much further ahead for the first gate, I probably would never have managed it. But the fact that when I got halfway, 85 meters, I could see the goal. If you can see the goal, you can make it happen. And you've got to visualize success. You've got to see yourself making it happen. And I'm so far in this endeavor I've done it. And also, I've got the security guards. They've been recording me. They're recording. They gave me a piece of paper today. Yesterday I did 2, and they signed it off. That I did. I had to do I had to do 24 kilometers on Tuesday, and yesterday I did 30 laps to complete 5 kilometers. So I think I am positive about that. As for the raising of money, that's going to be a tough job, because I've spoken to quite a number of wealthy people around the world, particularly in America, and the demands on them has become excessive. A lot of their wealth has been eroded. People, especially those in the property world, rents aren't paid, they can't pay the mortgages, share markets have dropped. But, life goes on. It's a turning phase. You know what also what disturbs me, but all the so-called experts about COVID and tell you, hindsight's a great science. It's like in America they call Monday morning quarterbacks. It's virtually impossible. I think the world has done the best they could, and to criticize people making decisions, nobody knew any better. It just amazes me that people criticize. You should have done it. They should have closed up. I mean, it's a trial and error basis. Trial and error basis. So I believe also, like you mentioned earlier, the poor were poor before COVID came around. COVID just escalated the amount of unemployment and the people becoming poor and battling. 80% of people around the world, I believe, wait for their paycheck, monthly or weekly paychecks. And it's just a great, great pity that prior to this COVID, Look, South Africa, in a way, was also bankrupt before the COVID arrived, with the results of the Zuma 10 years in office. So we've created a situation here where we have to do something for the long term. And when I have to speak to Adrian Gore, he says, yes, sir, we agree, we have to do something for the long term. So this is a long-term process. And the funds we raise doesn't have to be raised in one day and 1 week. It takes a year or longer. But the point is that I want to encourage more people, even if they're small donations. We'll eventually get there. And I only have to achieve 15% of the total that Captain Tom Moore, he raised close to 40 million pounds. We receive 15% of it. In dollar terms, we need about $6 million.
Well, we can only wish you everything of the best. That's Solly Krok there telling us about his efforts to raise over R1 million to help those impacted specifically by COVID-19, but indeed making a sustainable difference in the lives of those living below the bread line. He is walking or aiming to walk 91 kilometres a year for every year that he's been on the earth. He turned 91 just this past week. He wants to walk that by the 4th of June, and he'll be having a live event to mark that with a themed discussion. And you can go to social media and look up Keep the Wolf from the Door. It's the name of the organisation and the campaign that he started if you want to find out more. And if that hasn't gotten you out of bed, I don't know what will.